Sometimes I have this saying that art is art, or that, you've heard the saying, art imitates life, or I'll say that the gains you make from art, they also translate into life. And the lessons you learn in music can translate into painting and vice versa, where there's many ways to get your point across in many different quote unquote mediums. You can get a message across through a painting, you can get a message across through music. It could be the same message through different mediums, whether it's a book or a movie or a song. And I'm sure maybe you've seen movies that are named after a song, or you've seen books that gone on to inspire a film, or you've seen anime that's gone on to inspire a real IRL series, where these different mediums can translate into other mediums. And the reason that's possible, the reason that works, I guess what the conversation is about today is that every artist needs to know that the audience is the medium. This conversation came up in chat when Flag mentioned, a good conversation might be how colors can convey different emotions in art, and Wolfman was talking about, maybe interpretation, and Scrolly had mentioned, trying to talk about how different emotions from the audience, how to get different emotions from an audience with creative storytelling. And to me, it kind of boiled down to a larger subject that I had made some notes on and that we have talked about previously, about the audience being the medium in every art form. And the way I like to phrase it is that the medium is the audience's heartstrings. You're not playing a guitar, you're playing the audience's heartstrings. You're not making a film, the film is not the medium. The emotions of the audience is the medium. David Fincher once said in an interview that he wasn't making art with film and with music and with actors. He was trying to make art with the audience's emotions. His goal was to bring everybody in the audience's emotions to the same resonant feeling at the same time, so that he's not creating a film, he's creating an emotion that would rise in the room. And that's because the audience is the medium. When you're creating a painting at home, sure, you may be doing it 100% for yourself, and nobody will see this piece of work but yourself. And you might ask yourself, well, how is the audience the medium in that circumstance? Well, you're the audience. Sometimes art is just for yourself, and that you are the medium. It's your heartstrings that you're playing. You sit down and you write a song, you write a story, you put in a journal entry, you take some photographs, you do some programming, and at the end of it, it's all a self portrait. We're always finding ourselves at the end of every creative outlet. And you are an audience member. Jordan Peele once said, when you find that story that's so unique to you that nobody else could possibly understand, well, then you found a universal truth that everybody understands. Because that's what universal truth feels like. It feels like something unique to you, and you have these feelings sometimes when people hit rock bottom and they feel like they're alone. And the thing about feeling alone is something we feel universally, and that should help you not feel alone anymore. And by that resonant frequency, for lack of a better terms, is the way that you can play the audience's emotions, play the audience's heartstrings. So instead of writing a song, writing a story with maybe not a clear creative direction, try to think, what can I do to invoke a certain feeling from an audience? You know, we've talked a little bit about hacking human instincts in order to invoke emotion out of an audience. So, for example, if we want to write a song that not is just a happy song or the song that sounds like a song that's one of my heroes wrote, but instead we're going to write a song that is going to evoke a certain emotion out of an audience. And with that as our direction, we can ask ourselves, what kind of colors, what kind of chords, what kind of storytelling, what kind of subject matter, what kind of locations, what kind of weather, what kind of people in these stories evoke what emotions. And then instead of creating aimlessly with many different colors and chords, find a very particular emotion that you want to evoke out of your audience and take an active participation in aligning these elements in a fashion to invoke a feeling out of an audience at the same time. If you're in a film, you want to use music, you want to use lighting, you want to use characters' performance and dialogue to get to that moment of film where everybody feels the tension or everybody feels the sadness. When you create a painting, you want the artist's eye to move around the painting in a direction that you can control that takes them on a ride through your piece of art. When you're creating programming or you're developing a user interface, keep in mind the journey that an audience makes through their work and how that can give them an emotional roller coaster, and how that journey is fun for an audience, fulfilling for you as an artist, and fulfilling for the audience. I want to take a second, real quick, to throw to our guest artist, Flag, who's drawing based on the subject matter we're chatting about today. And we're throwing the Flag like she's our guest band, but she's our guest artist, Flag Nightstar. Let's see with what she's got going on here. Oh, we see someone lounging by a fireplace, thinking how to evoke emotions. Are their emotions are getting evoked by the book they're reading? Very cool, Flag. Thanks for drawing with us when we're chatting. Welcome back to Flag. You know, so when you're choosing your chords, are you choosing chords with the end product, the end expression, the end art form has a very clear emotion that you want to pull out of the audience? Instead of thinking of the painting as the medium, of the song as the medium, keep in mind that maybe the audience is the medium. So you're not pushing forth emotions out of your painting. You're not so much putting all the weight on your back to pull your emotions out to put into the painting. But let's find the building blocks to evoke emotion out of an audience. What particular colors say happy or sad? You know, yellow might feel like a happy color. Blue might feel like a sad color. There's some certain chords, major chords that feel happy, minor chords that feel sad. When you're telling stories, there's certain characters and dialogue. Hey, we're outside on a sunny day. That feels like a nice, lovely emotion, or it's a dark and stormy night. And now we're evoking a dark, sinister, dramatic emotion. But when you're creating, put a little bit of the onus on your audience and use their heartstrings as the musical instrument. Because at the end of the day, it's not the paint, it's not the canvas, it's not the film, it's not the camera, it's not the programming language. At the end of the day, as an artist, when you create, the audience is the medium. All right, let's see what we got in the chat here. All right, Flag looks like she has finished her piece. So let's see how Flag play our heartstrings real quick here. What are we working with? What are we working with? Okay, I see a piece of art here. We have what looks like maybe like a cool nighttime, dark storytelling. This is a dark and stormy night here, and what I feel like Flag's playing my heartstrings. She's trying to play my emotions, and she's telling me that something brooding is happening. There's something dramatic here. There's something dark and sinister. Maybe it's emotionally dark or whatever. But what I'm seeing here is something very, very tonally dark. But when we move to this drawing here, I feel like what I'm seeing here is something positive, something lighthearted, something comedic, maybe something fun. We're reading a story, sitting by a nice warm fire in a lovely living room on a lovely evening during maybe like a nice holiday season that we get to spend with our loved ones. Uh, that's very clever. I see what you did there, Flag. What she did is she said, you know what? I can play your heartstrings by giving you the same image with a different color palette. And she's going to play our heartstrings in a different way. Much like our kitty man here plays our heartstrings with his meow that says, give me more wet food. That sounds like a high pitched violin that's reminiscent of a baby crying. Are you playing my heartstrings with those meows? Thank you, Scrolly, for contributing to the conversation. Thank you, Flag, for drawing with us. I want to end this with, if you haven't heard it lately, I love you. Proud of you. You're becoming a better person and a better artist every day. Keep that shit up. Now, I realize as an artist, we have big feelings for some reason. It comes hand in hand with being an artist. And the lucky thing about having those big feelings as an artist is art is perfectly designed for you to put your big feelings into. So if you have any kind of conflicts in your life, whether it's a conflict with your family, conflict with yourself, conflict at work, conflict at school, I want you to remember that you have a superpower. You are a superhero. You can take all this energy, negative energy, anxious energy. It's going to build up on your back and on your neck and in your jaw and in your mind. And I know that you can actively, with your superpower, take all of this energy and transform it into something positive. All this energy could be something negative. It could be bad days. It could be good days. It could just be fast days. Life moves fast and sometimes things are overwhelming. And you can take all that negative energy, all that energy, positive energy, and you can transform it into something amazing. And all that negative energy, you got to take it off your shoulders, take it off your jaw, take it off your mind, because it gets so heavy. It's so heavy that if you dropped it, it would go through the earth. But you're going to take all that. You don't deserve to carry that around as an artist. And you're going to take all that negative energy. And as a superhero, with your superpower, you're going to take all that energy and you're going to spread it into your artwork. You're going to write a story about it. You're going to direct a film about it. You're going to paint a picture about it. You're going to program the perfect UI about it. But you're going to express yourself. You're going to transform all this energy, which could be negative, into something that's positive. And you are that person that has those talents that can do that. And people around you are going to be amazed that you have that superpower and that as an artist, you can transform something that could possibly be negative into something that's so positive for you and your community. So I'm going to remind you, when you have conflicts in your life, don't take it out on your friends. Don't take it out on your family. Don't take it out on the community. Don't take it out on your drywall. Don't take it out on yourself. Don't take it out on yourself. Don't take it out on yourself. Take it out on art. All right. See you next time. Thanks for being here. Like, subscribe, comment. How do you feel about what we talked about today? Do you believe that the audience is the medium? Does that make sense to you? Do you always create from that standpoint that the audience is the medium? No, duh, Gabriel. Or is it a new concept for you that maybe you can try in your work moving forward? Do you have anything to add to that conversation? Do you have any tips and tricks on how you create art? Do you think of the audience this way? Do you have other little hacks or points of view that you use as an artist that you can share? Join the community, like, subscribe, comment, share some of your art in the Discord. We have a lovely community that loves to look at your art and share their art and tell you how they feel about it. So thank you so much for being here with this conversation, and see you next time.